You guys here in Bartow County probably know less about me than you do some of the other candidates, and I've been trying to rectify that. I've been visiting a lot of places, and I want to assure you that once you select me as your senator, I will represent the entire district and not just Cherokee County. I've tried real hard to meet people and get to know people over here. Had one of my neighbor's kids the other day said, Mr. Pullen, said, do you get nervous talking in front of people? And I said, well, sometimes, but I said, I talk to Jesus every day, and everybody else is small potatoes when I consider that. So, I try to look at that and just try to be myself. And people ask me, why did you get in this race? Well, I guess that kind of, I thought about that again this morning as I was leaving the house. I got up this morning and started my morning out in the kitchen like I do many mornings, and then took a shower, went to various areas of the house, and then I went outside and it was cold outside. And I thought about the fact that I walked through every room of my house, or at least most areas of the house this morning, and every room was the same temperature. Now, when I was growing up on a farm in North Alabama, we had a heater in one room of the house. That same room also, thank the Lord, that we had a large window air conditioner in that same room, and it kept the living area of the house reasonably warm in the wintertime and reasonably cool in the summertime. But the bedrooms were not. Whatever, in the summertime, whatever the condition the air was in is your air conditioning. And then I remembered stories that my parents told. My father said he grew up in a house where he could feed the chickens through the floor. And, the boards had cracks in them. Somebody said, what? The boards had cracks in them, and you could actually drop corn or, food particles or whatever, and the chickens running around under the floor could eat them. My mother talks about my grandmother. They lived in a house where the eave of the house was open a little bit, and it snowed in the wintertime, and the wind would blow the snow up under there. Thank goodness it didn't blow the rain up under there, but it would blow the snow up under there. So grandmother would get up in the middle of the night and go dust the snow off of the covers. And when I think about that, I track back and I see that every generation in my family has had a better quality of life than the generation before. And it's because the generation before provided that quality of life. I'm concerned that my children and grandchildren are not going to have the same quality of life that I had. Most of you know that I'm an educator, and I'll track that for you in just a second, but most of you know that I'm an educator. I spent 32 years preparing young people for the future, and I've came to the conclusion that we didn't prepare the future for our young people. And we're going to have to work on that. And it's going to take all of us working together. Now, some of you say, well, you don't know me. Let me give you a background. I was raised on a farm in northeast Alabama. Had the opportunity to attend Auburn University and graduated with a degree in agricultural education and started teaching agriculture at Cherokee High School in 1981. Did that for several years, became an assistant principal and career tech director at one of our other high schools. Then I became a curriculum director for secondary education in Cherokee County. Superintendent asked me where I wanted to be in 5 years and 10 years. I said, well, eventually I want to be in your seat. He said, not being a principal is a hole in your resume. I said, I understand that. He said, let's fix that. So I served as a principal of a middle school, an elementary school, and the night high school. During that time, I had the opportunity to become an adjunct instructor with Central Michigan University, working with teachers working on their master's degrees. And when I retired from the school system, I was fortunate enough to be employed by them full-time, which is what I do now. In between those times, I served as superintendent of Chattooga County Schools up in the northwest corner of the state. The congressman mentioned how blessed we were to live in this district. There's some areas of our state that's poor, and I've seen both sides. You know a little bit about me now personally and educationally. I graduated from Auburn University, but I didn't mention that I do have 3 degrees from the University of Georgia. So I'm a tiger dog. There's not many of us around, but I'm proud of that fact. On a personal note, I went to college and fell in love with a beautiful young lady. and she was kind enough to marry me at the end of our sophomore year of college. So we spent our junior and senior years at Auburn together, and she moved with me to Cherokee County. And some people say, well, why Cherokee County? My wife's initial degree was in interior home furnishings. There's not many places that an ag teacher and an interior designer can cohabitate. She was fortunate enough to get a job with Ethan Allen in Marietta, and I was fortunate enough to be teaching at Cherokee High School. She's put up with me for 34 years. We have two wonderful children. We have a 29-year-old son and a 25-year-old daughter. We have a 5-year-old grandson that we're very proud of, and I'm very concerned that his quality of life is not going to be as good as my quality of life. As you can tell, I put a lot of emphasis on education. You know, a lot of philosophers have agreed that education is the cornerstone of freedom. Oppressed people don't know they're oppressed many times. It takes education for them to see that they're oppressed and to move out of that oppression. So, you know, education is key to quality of life for everyone. I believe in economic development. I had the fortunate opportunity to serve for 10 years as chairman of the Planning and Zoning Board for the City of Canton. And I understand what quality growth means to a community. Folks, as much as we love our community the way it is, it can't stay here. Either we're moving forward or we're backing up. We're growing or we're dying. And we need to be growing. We're going to have to get some quality jobs in here to help our citizens to provide that quality of life for our children and grandchildren. You know, I believe that we need to work together as a community. Congressman Gingrey is a good example for us. He has set up so many advisory committees where he brings people in to advise him on various things so that he can understand what's going on in the district. I had the opportunity to serve on his educational advisory committee and see firsthand how he worked to obtain input from people. I worked on the YMCA board of directors and saw how important it was for the community to come together and help each other out. We're going to have to work together to improve this district. That's my goal. You know, being raised on a farm, you know, I knew nothing but hard work. First 2 years of college, I worked on a night shift garbage truck in order to pay for my education. I know what it's like to get in there, roll my sleeves up, and work. And that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to roll our sleeves up. We're going to have to work together, and together we can provide that quality of life that I'm talking about for our children and grandchildren. Now, I assume we're going to have questions after everyone speaks, so I won't say anything. I'm sure you'll have some questions for me, and I'll address those at that time. Thank you for listening to me this morning. I'm just a simple man. I'm an educator, a husband, a father, a grandfather, and I just want to see our district improve. Thank you.